The bread was gone again. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the empty pantry shelf, my stomach twisting with a fury I couldn't name. For weeks I'd noticed things vanishing: cans of soup, bags of rice, even the good olive oil I saved for special dinners. First I blamed myself. Maybe I'd miscounted, maybe the kids had snacked more than usual. But today, as I caught my mother-in-law, Ellen, slipping a loaf of my homemade sourdough into her purse, the truth hit me like a slap. She wasn't just visiting. She was stealing. From me. From us. I'm Mia, 32, married to Tom for 7 years. We have 2 kids, Lily and Max, and a life that looks perfect on paper. A cozy house in the suburbs, a swing set in the backyard, and a marriage built on promises we swore we'd never break. But lately those promises felt like weights. Tom's a good man, a mechanic who works long hours at the shop, but every paycheck he earns goes straight to his parents. Not a dime stays with us unless I beg. His parents, Ellen and George, live across town in a crumbling house they refuse to fix. Tom says it's his duty to care for them. I say it's killing us. That morning, I'd woken up to a fridge so empty I couldn't even make the kids' lunches. I'd scraped together peanut butter sandwiches with the last of the jar, my hands shaking as I spread the knife. The grocery budget was gone, spent on bills and Tom's family obligation. I'd planned to confront him tonight, to demand we set boundaries. But then Ellen showed up, unannounced as usual, her smile too wide, her purse too heavy. "Mia dear, I just stopped by to see the kids," she said, her voice syrupy. She sat at my table, sipping coffee I couldn't afford to replace, while I tidied the kitchen, trying to ignore the gnawing in my gut. That's when I saw her hand dart into her purse, tucking away the bread I'd baked yesterday. My bread. For my kids. "Ellen," I said, my voice sharp enough to cut glass. "What are you doing?" She froze, her cheeks flushing red. "Oh Mia, too, thought you wouldn't mind. We're family after all." Family. The word tasted bitter. I wanted to scream that family doesn't steal. That family doesn't leave you scrambling to feed your own children. But I didn't. I just stood there, my hands clenched, as she babbled excuses. That's when Tom walked in, home early from the shop, his face tired but lighting up when he saw his mother. "Mom, you're here," he said, hugging her. Then he saw me, saw the bread on the table, saw the storm in my eyes. "Mia, what's going on?" I didn't hold back. "Your mother's been stealing from us, Tom. Food. From our kitchen. While you send every cent we have to her and your dad." The room went silent, the kind of silence that chokes you. Ellen's eyes darted to Tom, pleading. Tom looked at me like I'd stabbed him. "Mia, how could you say that? She's my mother. And I'm your wife." I snapped. "Your kids are hungry, Tom. I can't keep doing this." What followed was a fight that tore open every crack in our marriage. Ellen cried, claiming she only took extras because they were struggling. Tom defended her, saying I was overreacting, that I didn't understand family loyalty. I told him loyalty shouldn't mean starving his own kids. The kids, thank God, were at school, spared from hearing their parents unravel. But the truth kept spilling out. Ellen admitted she'd been taking food for weeks, not because they were starving, but because she didn't like wasting Tom's money on groceries. Tom's money. Our money. The money we needed for our life. I asked Tom why he never questioned where his paychecks went, why he trusted his parents so blindly. He didn't have an answer, just a wounded look that made me feel like the villain. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Ellen's guilty face, Tom's silence, the empty pantry. I thought about my own mother, who'd raised me alone after my dad left, scraping by but never taking what wasn't hers. She'd taught me pride, resilience, and the kind of love that doesn't demand sacrifice at someone else's expense. I wondered what she'd think of me now, letting my family's needs slide to keep the peace. The next day I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my mom. She listened as I poured out everything, the theft, the fights, the way Tom's loyalty to his parents felt like a betrayal of us. Her advice was simple. Talk to him, Mia. Not at him. And don't let anyone, even family, walk over you. So I tried. That evening I sat Tom down after the kids were in bed. No yelling, no accusations, just the raw truth. I told him how it felt to watch our kids eat less so his parents could have more. I told him about the shame of borrowing money from friends to buy milk. I told him I loved him but couldn't live like this. Tom listened, his face pale. For the first time, he didn't defend his parents. He just nodded, his eyes wet. "I didn't know it was this bad," he said finally. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "You're not their son first anymore," I said gently. "You're a husband. A father." He didn't argue. Instead, he promised to talk to his parents to set limits. But promises are fragile, and I wasn't sure I believed him. The next morning, I went to Ellen and George's house myself. I wasn't sure what I'd say, but I needed to face them. Their house was worse than I remembered: peeling paint, a sagging porch, a fridge as empty as mine. George, Tom's dad, was quiet, his hands trembling from some untreated illness. Ellen was defensive, but there was shame in her eyes. I didn't yell. I just asked why. Why take from us when we had so little? Ellen broke down, admitting they'd been struggling since George lost his job years ago. Tom's money was their lifeline, but it wasn't enough, so she took what she could from our kitchen. "I didn't want to burden him," she said, tears streaming. "He's got enough on his plate." I wanted to hate her, but I couldn't. I saw a woman trapped by pride and desperation, just like I was. I told her we'd help, but not like this. Not by stealing. Not by draining us dry. I proposed a plan. Tom would send a fixed amount each month, enough to cover their basics, but the rest stayed with us. No more secrets, no more theft. When I told Tom, he agreed, though I could see the guilt eating at him. He loved his parents, but he was starting to see what it cost us. Over the next few weeks, we worked out a budget, a real one, for the first time in years. It wasn't perfect. Ellen still came over too often, and I caught her eyeing the pantry once or twice. But she didn't take anything. Not anymore. The kids noticed the change. Lily asked why we had cereal again, her little face lighting up. Max stopped hiding snacks in his room, a habit I hadn't even known about. Slowly, our house felt like ours again. But the scars lingered. Tom and I were still rebuilding trust, still learning how to balance love and duty. I wondered if I'd ever fully forgive Ellen, or if Tom would ever stop feeling torn. The questions haunted me. When does family loyalty become betrayal? Where do you draw the line between helping and hurting? I don't have all the answers. Maybe no one does. But I know this. Love shouldn't leave you empty. Not your heart, not your home, not your pantry. What do you think? Was I too harsh on Ellen, or was I right to protect my family? How do you balance loyalty to your parents with the needs of your own household? Share your thoughts. Let's talk about where justice lies in a story like this.